Morning, morning, morning. How are you today, gorgeous ones? Are you feeling great? I hope so. Hope you enjoyed yesterday's routine. Here's another one for you. Just you and a mat. And we're going to start lying down on your floor. So remember, if you feel any pain during the routine, please stop. Don't work through pain at all. Have a rest and regroup, and then you can always come back into it later. Okay, so maybe just your form was just out, maybe the back was arching, maybe the shoulders are up here. Sometimes we're just not aware when we're concentrating so much on what we're trying to do. We're not aware of muscles creeping into bad habits or posture habits that we've had for so long that the brain thinks we're in the right position, and usually we're not. We might just be out a little bit. So you haven't got anyone there to check your form, so you need to be hyper vigilant today. You need to be a detective about your muscles. Okay, slide your fingers down towards the bottom of the mat. Have your feet in line with your hips. Have a little look at your feet. Sometimes when your feet are, you think your feet are straight, they're not. They could be facing that way because they're used to being in that position. So have a little check and make sure your feet are facing forward, knees are in line with your hips, and a little gap underneath the abdominals or your lumbar spine where your navel is. That's the word. Can't speak again today, so what's new? Like you've got a little like a gap of like air can just circulate underneath both sides. Okay, and then the heart line, the middle back, is just resting on the floor. Tucking the chin in so you've got a little gap underneath the neck as well. Okay, so you're in the natural curves of the spine. Ribs stay soft. As soon as the ribs start to arch, you know you've got too much of a gap there, so you want to soften the ribs and slide them down as if they're attached to your hips. Okay, enough talking. Now as you exhale, just lightly lift the pelvic floor, contracting the abdominals and floating one knee. And then lifting the other leg. Okay, so softening the shoulders, take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, one foot's going to come down towards the floor. And you're going to inhale as you come back up. Then you're going to change legs. We're going to do 5 on each side. So try to keep a nice tabletop position here with that shin. And just imagine there's little coffee cups on that shin. Got to keep them nice and steady. The foot always comes back, or the knee always comes back above the hip. Now if you're finding this a little bit tricky because your back's arching, put a rolled up towel underneath that gap where that fresh air is and press gently into that rolled up towel. And don't lose contact. And that way you've got a sensory idea really. It's just going to really help you with your feeling of where you are in space. I think this is the last one. And then bring the feet and the knees together, squeeze them together and drop them to one side. Take the hands away from you a little bit more, keep the opposite shoulder on the floor. And then come back to the centre and swap sides. So again we're going to do 5 on each side. Now if you can practically touch the floor with that knee, allow the legs to straighten. So you add extra weight to the movement. You can go as far as you like as long as your shoulders stay down, pinning you to the floor. So the opposite hip lifts, that's fine. It's like a pendulum going from side to side. I think this is the last one. I'm good at saying that. Coming back to the middle, bend the knees, place one foot on the floor so the other foot stays in that 90-degree angle. And now we're going to lose that little gap. So if you've got a towel underneath your back, take it away. Now you're going to lose that gap, so flatten the back into the floor, what we call imprinting the spine, and you're going to start to roll up into a shoulder bridge. So squeezing the glutes, pressing your weight into that foot on the floor, soften the ribs, tucking the chin in slightly, keep the back of the neck long, make sure that knee's in line with your hip, it's not coming across you. Pressing the shoulders back, take a deep breath in, and exhale, roll down through the spine. Lengthening long in your sit bones. Place the foot back down on the floor when you get back to neutral, and then floating the other foot up, gently imprinting and rolling up through the spine, lifting from the hips as if you're being lifted by a little piece of string on the pelvic bone. Hips are level, that knee's in line with your hip, almost if you've got a brick wall on this side or a glass wall, however posh you want to be with your materials. and have the knee in line touching that wall beside you. So holding it for about 3 breaths and then slowly rolling down. Now my left glute's a little bit weaker, so that's quite tricky for me on that side. Whew. Now we're going to change legs, floating the knee and lift, up you go. Now making sure your ribs aren't arching, so the back's not taking over, soften them down, squeezing the glutes, sucking the shoulders back into the mat. And when you've reached 3 breaths, send the breath down the spine as you roll yourself back down. Other side. So really getting those glutes working, watching your knees, staying in line, being aware of every single muscle in the body. Focus and concentrate. And roll yourself down. And we're going to do one more on each side, I think. Are you still breathing? Only just? Jolly good. And then rolling down. As long as you're not going blue, that's fine. Last time on the other side. And then roll yourself back down through the spine. Now keep that knee lifted, hug it in towards you, just gently. Take the outside hand towards your ankle and the inside hand just on the inside of the knee. Float the other knee up and lengthen it long. So if you've got coving between the ceiling and the wall, that's where you're aiming. Lift the head and shoulders. Now if you've got a towel, place it underneath the head because you might need it there. If you haven't, it's not the end of the world. Okay, so deep breathing, deep breath. Switch the legs, breathing in and exhale, lengthen. Breathe in and switch and exhale, lengthen. Breathe in and switch and exhale, lengthen. Foot and knee stays in line with your hip. Keep going. Now if your neck aches, place the head back down on that towel on the floor. Now if you want to have a little bit of a challenge, we're going to take the arms up towards the ceiling. Imagine you're holding a band. Pull the band, stretch it and release as you swap legs. Pull the band and stretch it and release and stretch and release. 2 more and stretch and release. Last one and stretch. Come up a little bit higher off those shoulders if you're there. Now I'm going to go into the double leg stretch. The legs lengthen away, arms reach overhead, pull that band, come back in with the knees, hands are together, and then pull the band, take the legs away and come back in and pull that imaginary band, drop those abs down towards the floor and come back in. 2 more, heavy tailbone, drop that tailbone down. Last one, how are your ribs looking? And come back in. Good work. Okay, take the band back up towards the head, towards the ceiling. Oh, take one foot down to the floor, straighten the leg, bring the other leg into that tabletop position or straight, depending on how flexible your hamstrings are, because I'm going to go into the 1 leg circle. Okay, I'm going to bend my knee. Now I'm going to take the knee away from me as I pull the band, bring it back in as the circle comes back and around. Pull the band for half of the circle, and for the rest of the circle, pull the band back in. And again, take the band away, come back in. So you've done 3 circles, we're going to do 2 more. Last one. And then we're going to reverse. Here we go again. Pulling and releasing. And pulling and releasing. So as the knee comes across you, we're pulling. As it comes back and around, we're releasing. That's a little bit trickier. Coordination. Woohoo! It's too early. Last one. And coming back in. Leg goes on the floor, relax it. Bring the other knee in, so the knee's in line with your hip. Ready? Take the leg away from you. Take it away, pull the band, bring it back in. 4 more. Getting some freedom of movement in that hip. Not excessively moving the hips though. Still aiming to keep most of that right hip down on the floor, so you're not rocking and rolling the ribs. Now when you've done about 5, who's counting? Reverse, come back the other way. And release the band. So the knee comes across you, pull the band. When you get halfway, release the band. 3 more. Drop those shoulders, relax the collarbone. Last one. Lovely, and release. Bend the knees and roll over onto your side. Okay, now we're going to imagine that that band is now wrapped around our thighs. We're going to go into the oyster. Okay, I'm going to place the towel just underneath my straight arm to keep my head in line with my spine. You might not need that at all. You might be able to just lengthen here with the head resting on your hand, as long as you're not excessively crunching up your shoulder. Okay, so feet are going to lift and they're together. Just organise my head, thank you very much, and then lift that top knee. So imagine you've got that band wrapped around your thighs. You use the resistance of the band to open the leg, watching that top hip stays down towards the floor. And release, and lift. So holding it for about 10 seconds. Those feet are together, so it's like a little door hinge. And release, and lift. Relax your shoulders, keeping the length in the crown of the head so your spine stays long like it's in a tug of war. And release, and lift. Keep breathing. And release, and lift. Soften those lovely ribs down towards your hips. And release, and lift. And release, and lift. And release, and lift. And release. Last one. Going to come down halfway. We're going to pulse it for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well done. Release. Roll yourself over onto your front. Say hello to your glutes. Okay, let's move that out of the way because I don't want you today. Okay, take the arms out in front of you. Drop the chin towards the chest. Lift the upper body just slightly off the floor, like you're trying to lift the heart off the floor. Lift the right arm and the left leg. Come back down, change sides. You're going swimming in the prone position. So we're focusing on core stability here. Dropping the shoulders down towards the ribs. Lifting and lowering the opposite arm to the leg. Now if you want to challenge, don't touch the floor as you come down, so the arms and legs stay lifted. Keep that chin dropped in towards the chest, the back of the neck stays long, shoulders away from your ears. Pelvic bone stays on the mat as the hips are as well. Not moving anything in the body at all, just the arms and the legs doing their own thing. Almost like the little puppet string on a string. 2 more on each side. You can do it. Oh yes. And then bring the legs down but keep the arms up. Bring them around. Ooh, excuse the basket in the way. And the wall. So they're in line with your shoulders. Move over slightly. And then bring your hands down towards the thighs. Fingers reach towards your feet and lift the upper body. The upper body can come down slightly as the arms come out to the side and bring them out in front of you. So imagine that your hands are just skimming the top of a table. Take the arms out again to the sides and then back, reaching towards your feet like Superman going through the air. And then coming back and reaching long in front of you. And again, lifting, breathing in, lift, slide your shoulders down. And exhale, come back. 2 more. Inhale, lift. Feet are heavy. And exhale, come back down. Last one. And exhale, come back. Reach along with those fingertips. And then bring the hands by your side. Come back into child's pose. Feet together, knees away from each other. Reach forward if it feels comfortable for your shoulders. Otherwise, have your hands around by your feet. And then hands roll back towards your knees. Roll yourself up. Swing yourself around. Coming into oyster on the other side. Thinking I might just need that. Bending the knees, pick up the feet and lift that top knee. So imagine you've got that band wrapped around you. Use that resistance of the band. Holding that top hip forward as if it's attached like a little guy wire towards the floor. And then release and lift. Shoulders relax. And release and lift. So while you're just counting, you can just focus on the breathing deep into your lower abdominals. And release and lift. Just keeping the breath away from the chest, allowing your neck to relax. And release and lift. And release and lift. And release and lift. Got 2 more to go. And release and lift. And release. Last one. Lift. Going to come down halfway. Little pulses for 8, 7, 6 against the band. 4, 3, 2, 1. 2 more. Okay, thought you might want to add another couple in there, just because you're feeling brave. And straighten the legs out all the way. Roll over back onto your front. Okay, hands round by the chest. Slowly push yourself up into a half plank position. Lift the heart up towards the ceiling, lengthen through the crown of your head. Keep it nice and steady. Now you're going to come down onto your elbows. Now come back up onto your hands. And then come back down onto your elbows. Come back up onto your hands. If you want to challenge, tuck your toes under and carry on. You can do 4 more. There's 1. Here's 2. You're halfway there to the finish line. There's 3. Last one. Coming back up onto those hands, into that plank position, hands underneath your shoulders, reach through your heels, lengthen through the crown of your head, shoulders away from your ears. Happy? Breathing? Coming into plank, pike. They begin with a P, on you are somewhere, the correct word. Okay, bend your knees halfway, push the tailbone up towards the ceiling as you feel the spine lengthen away from your ears, and then straighten the legs, aim your heels towards the floor, shoulders away from your ears, looking back towards your knees. Now if you can keep your balance, bend your right knee and place your foot towards the ceiling, as if you're trying to touch the ceiling with your foot. You can flex the foot or point the toe. I'm going for a flex foot so we get a stretch in the back of the leg. Bring that leg back down, change legs. Lift. And release. Bring one foot forward, grab it if you need to bring it through. Back knee down towards the floor. Sort your hair out and your clothes. You've got your pyjamas on, no one's looking. Unless your neighbour's having a peek through your window. Lift the chest and squeeze the glutes on that back leg. Now if you can keep your balance, take the hands up towards the ceiling, lifting the chest. And release the arms down. Shift the weight back, flexing the front foot, coming into a hamstring stretch, pushing through the heel, flexing the feet. Tailbones long behind you. And release, bring that foot back in, change legs. Hip flexor stretch, squeezing the glutes to push the hips forward, lifting the arms, lifting the chest. Making sure the toes are in front of the knee, so you're not over pressing any weight in that front knee. So the ankle's kind of below the knee. And release, bring the arms out by your side and straighten that front leg, push through the heel. Tailbone goes long behind you. And release. And then come into your kneeling position and roll your shoulders. 2 more. And then come back the other way. Lift the shoulders up towards the ceiling and release. And again, lift and release. Last one. Open up the collarbone, squeeze the shoulder blades together, take a deep breath in and exhale as you turn the head to one side. Come back to centre as you breathe in and exhale, turn the head to the other side, keeping the opposite shoulder back and the collarbone facing forward. Come back to centre and again turn the head. Now hold it here as you breathe in and as you exhale turn the head a little bit further. Come back to centre and change sides. Holding it here, take a deep breath in and as you exhale turn the head a little bit further. Try not to bring the shoulder with you and try to keep that chin level. And then come back to centre, drop the chin towards the chest. Slowly look up towards the ceiling and again drop the chin and lift and again drop and lift. 2 more. And then come back to centre, place the hand behind the head and just keep the crown of the head long and just gently press your head back into your hand. Keep breathing. And then release, place the hand on the side of the head and gently press your head into your hand. So turn around to face you. So the head stays centred, the nose is above the sternum, ears are above your shoulders. And release, change hands, it's on the other side of the head and press the head just gently into the hand. And then place the hand on the forehead and press the head gently into the hand. And then release, take the ear to the shoulder and then change sides. And again, so opposite shoulder. Trying to keep your shoulders down. It's very tempting to lift the shoulders towards the ears. So think about the heavy shoulders being pulled down towards the floor as you try and touch your shoulder with your ear. 4 more on each side. Last 2. And last one. Bring the arms out to the side, lift them up to the ceiling and release. And again, lift and release and lift and release and lift. Last 2. Bring the hands together into the prayer position above your head. Reach for the ceiling. Press the fingertips together, press the hands together and then bring the hands back down towards your chest. Well done, thank you for joining me today, and if you get time please repeat the exercises, and if you don't get time straight away, see if you have another go later on in the day. I hope you have a great day, go around smiling, keeping the jaw relaxed and have a fantastic day. Thank you for joining me today. See you tomorrow.